Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make just a good old-fashioned classic comfort meal that can be ready to go in under an hour, if that long. And it's going to be a spicy bacon wrapped chicken tender, homemade creamy macaroni and cheese, and some green beans. It also is going to be very budget friendly, very low in cost, and so it's just perfect for a weeknight supper. Now, on the stove, I have about 4 slices of bacon that I've cut into pieces, and I'm just rendering the fat out. That's going to be for the green beans. I also have a pot of water where I've just put 1 box of elbow macaroni in, and that's cooking away. So let's stir the green bean, the bacon for the green beans, and see where we are. Really what I'm trying to do is render out that fat, because that, my friends, is flavor. Now at home, I keep a container of bacon drippings. Whenever I cook bacon, I save the drippings. I keep it in my refrigerator for cases like this, when I want to make green beans. I like my green beans flavored with bacon, and so I don't have any of that here. So another way, and if you don't have it at home, another way to do that is just, you know, cut up 4 or 5 slices of bacon and brown it first, and then I'll show you what to do in just a minute. Now, here I have just regular chicken tenders. And what we're going to do is we are going to make a delicious spicy blend to go on the chicken before we wrap it in the bacon. And I have here just some light brown sugar. I'm going to add to it some chili powder, some salt and pepper, a little bit of cayenne. You can leave that out if you don't like the heat, and some oregano. And I'm going to blend all of that together. Yum, it's so good. If you don't want to make it spicy, you can also just skip this part, wrap it in bacon. It's delicious. That pepper is about to make me sneeze. Goodness gracious. All right. I don't want to touch my chicken before I fix up the green beans. Now, here I have just some bacon, just individual slices of bacon. And let's see where we are. Okay, we're looking good here. Now, I'm not going to drain this. I'm leaving all of that in there. Let it go just a minute more. I want to show you a little trick that I learned the other day, and I just can't stop using it. Now, I have a couple of different types of can openers. One is which you just do the top, and then you got to take that little edge and lift it up. That's great. I'm a lefty, so everything is backwards for me. If you're left-handed, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The world is designed for right-handed people. So I saw this and I tried it, and I was like, that makes it so much easier to open a can. If you have just the regular swing line can opener, instead of going like this, go on top, make sure that the cutting wheel's on the outside, and then just clamp it on there and go around. And of course, it's going to give me a fit here. Hang on just a minute. Now, why are you? Oh, it's dented a little bit there. Okay, let's just start back here. All right. Go around until you completely get the can opened. And this one, of course, is dented, so it's not going to do it as good as it would. Normally, you can just take this right off, and it doesn't leave a sharp edge, but this particular can was dented, so it didn't do it, but the other 2 did. All right, now what you're going to do is I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to add 3 cans of green beans, liquid and all, straight to my pot. Normally, this whole thing comes off, and you can just take it and open that up, and it drops right in the trash can. But of course, it doesn't work when you start taping. That's okay. You get the point. Make sure your cans aren't dented. And then stir that. If you need to add a little bit more water, you can. You want to make sure those green beans are covered. Now, because my bacon is a little salty, I'm not going to salt my green beans. I'm just going to put the lid on it, turn it down to like medium low, and I'm going to let it simmer for a little while. And the canned green beans are delicious when you cook them like that. Now my macaroni is probably done. There's only one way to know, and that's good. You want it a little al dente because we're going to finish it off in the oven, so we'll just let that hang out for a minute. Now, back to our chicken. You want to take your chicken tenders and lay them out in one layer. You don't have to use tenders. You could use chicken thighs. You could use chicken breasts. Just cut them into strips. If you wanted to make this appetizer friendly, what you could do is cut the chicken tenders into bite sizes. And I do that. That's when I first did this recipe. That is how I do it. But I'm actually going to serve this as a meal, so I'm not going to take the time to cut them into bite-sized pieces. If you want to do that, cut them into like thirds. Cut your bacon into thirds. But because I'm not going to do that, let's just show you the next step, which is to take your brown sugar mixture. Remember, you've already got your salt and pepper in this, so there's no need to salt that. It smells so good. And I'm just going to liberally sprinkle this over my chicken tenders. And I'm going to turn them over and do the other side because I like mine good and spicy. What's going to happen is that brown sugar is going to caramelize. It is delicious. If you've never had bacon cooked with brown sugar on top of it, you are missing something, let me just say. Just take your bacon and put it on a baking sheet, baking rack, sprinkle it with a little bit of brown sugar, then roast it in your oven. It is so good. Now, you're going to need a sheet tray that you definitely want to have lined with paper. Take your chicken tender and wrap it with the bacon. It does not have to be completely coated. It's fine to not completely coat them. And even if you don't want to use the bacon, you can just roast these without the bacon. Just spice them up. They're delicious that way too. I mean, it's just any which way you want to do it. To me, everything tastes better with bacon. So I like bacon in mine. But maybe you don't eat bacon. You could use turkey bacon if you wanted to. Up to you. It's your kitchen. You do what you want. Oh, so good. This is also a good use for in the grocery stores where you buy regular bacon. Oftentimes you will see something called ends in pieces. This is a great use for that too, which it happens to be a little less expensive than, regular sliced bacon. I know it's all getting so expensive nowadays. Buy it on sale when you can. We're going to do some programs on how to reduce your grocery cost because I'm telling you, sometimes it just, can get very expensive. Okay. We're just wrapping these up. Take any of your leftover, just make sure that it's coated with your delicious brown sugar mixture. I'll do some plain too so you can see how that works. And just 350, 375, something like that. Whatever your temperature is for maybe something else you're baking, it'll work. Coat it all in there. And then what we're going to do is pop these in the oven. I've got a couple more pieces here. Let me just show you what I'll do with the others. Then I'll take a break and clean up here. Just sprinkle the other tenders with just your mixture. Got enough on my board. And you don't even have to wrap them if you don't have enough bacon. They're delicious. They're going to get a little bit of that flavor from the rendered bacon fat. Either way, it works. So I'm going to just finish these, pop them in the oven. When I come back, we're going to start on the sauce for the macaroni and cheese. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now our chicken is in the oven, and we're gonna, the macaroni's done. All I did was just boil the macaroni and drain it, that's it. Now, in a large pot, you want to, we're making the creamy creamy cheese sauce, which is kind of like a white sauce with cheese. You need 1 stick of butter that you want to melt. We're going to make a roux is what we're making. And that will be equal parts butter and flour. All right. I do not like this whisk, but let's see what we got in here. For that purpose, let me get one of these little guys. Yeah, that's better. You want to melt your butter. Now, I'm not a fan of margarine at all, but I realize that sometimes, and in some applications, maybe, you know, butter may be a little pricey, and so it might be, you know, maybe you might want to substitute margarine for this. Or if you have butter, what I suggest you do is when you find it on sale, if you have a, you know, a few extra dollars in your budget, then go ahead and buy some and put it in the freezer. Butter freezes very well, by the way. I don't know if you know that or not, but it does freeze extremely well. We're going to let that melt, and now we're just going to check on our green beans. They're just boiling away, and once they come up to a boil, what I like to do is just take the lid off. What you're wanting to do is let that liquid evaporate out, and it will kind of glaze those green beans, and oh, the longer they simmer, the better they are. I'm just telling you, they're just so good, and they're just canned green beans. You know, you can get a can of green beans for 50 cents, so that's $1.50. I used 3 cans. You know, and then the bacon, I used, I don't know, maybe 4 slices or so, so that's, you know, maybe 50 cents cost, and it's delicious. All right, once your butter is melted, then you want to add equal parts flour. So I had 1 stick of butter, which is ½ a cup. So I'm adding ½ a cup of just all-purpose flour. Whisk that all together. Make sure that you have all of that flour incorporated into the butter. Now, it will look kind of pasty, and that's, you know, what you want. You want to kind of let that go for about a minute because you want that raw flour taste to cook out. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, just a couple of pinches. If you like pepper, and I do, add a little bit of pepper. Completely up to you. Turn that up just a little bit, not much. This is the same basis for making a gravy. Follow this step exactly, and then we will add some milk in a minute, and that is gravy. If you want to use bacon drippings, then do, you know, brown your bacon in your pot, remove the bacon, leave the drippings, and add equal parts flour. And brown it just like this, and then add your milk slowly, and you've got delicious bacon gravy for biscuits and gravy. Which, to be honest, I don't remember if I've made that on here or not. I need to check my schedule. I've done so many programs over the years. It all kind of runs together after a while. Now, once your butter and flour mixture, this is called a roux, has cooked for about a minute, you want to slowly, and slowly is the key word here, add a couple of cups of milk, not all at once. Add a little bit of milk, whisk it in, and then add a little more, whisk it in. You're tempering the milk, and by doing that, you're not going to, now you can add the rest of it. You're not going to have a clumpy sauce. And keep stirring it, stir, 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 until all of that flour mixture is incorporated and there are no lumps. This is a white sauce. If you've ever seen a recipe that calls for a white sauce, that's what this is. It's the basis for so many things, so many sauces. Now, you see how that just smoothed right out? And it's nice and thick. This is what gravy would be. This, if you wanted to, you know, put this over some biscuits, you could, and eat it, biscuits and gravy. But that's not what we're making today. We are making a cheese sauce. So I have here a couple of cups of just sharp cheddar cheese, because that's what I like, but you can use Monterey Jack, you could use Colby, any kind of cheese that you like. And I'm whisking it in a little bit at a time. Still got my heat on. Adding a little more. Okay, and I'm making the cheese sauce. I am using a non-stick pot. Well, actually, this is not non-stick, this is hard anodized. But, you know, a non-stick or the hard anodized, either one will work. Stir the rest of that in. And do you see why I'm using this pot? Can you see that? It just doesn't stick to it, and I love it. Now, turn the eye off and stir in your macaroni. Now, here is where, oops, yeah, all right, let's get my pot. Put all your macaroni in there, plus whatever you drop on the stove like I did. And stir it all together. When you drain your pasta, keep a little bit in case your sauce thickens up too much and you need to thin it down a little bit, which I think I probably do. I've got my pasta water over here in my little container, so I'm just going to grab some. The reason you want to use this is it's got the starch from the macaroni in. That's a good habit to get in when you're making a sauce for spaghetti or any pasta. Keep the water that you drain, because it has that starch in it, and it really will help to thicken up your macaroni and cheese or your pasta or whatever you're making. Oh, that looks so good. Then what we're going to do is, you could serve this just like this. Of course, you need to taste it for seasoning. Let me get a little, I mean, you have to, cook always should taste the food first to make sure that it's properly seasoned. Oh my goodness. That is so good. Now, carefully, as carefully as you can. That needs a touch more salt. Let's stir in just a little bit more salt. Oh, but it's so good. It's not hard to make at all. Homemade macaroni and cheese is not at all difficult. Now, can you see this? This is why I use this pot. Look at that. There's absolutely no sticking, none. Cleanup will be so easy on that. I'm going to get every last bit of that cheese out of there. I love these pots and pans. All right, smooth that out. And if you want to, and I mean, this is kind of a baked macaroni. If you wanted to eat it just like that, you can. Or You can take some fresh breadcrumbs. This is just a couple of slices of bread that I pulsed up in my food processor. If you don't have any fresh bread, you could use panko breadcrumbs or, regular breadcrumbs, whatever you like. We're going to pop this in that oven alongside of our chicken tenders for about 15 minutes, just to kind of let that coating, the breadcrumbs kind of brown and get all yummy and delicious. And when I come back, we'll put all this meal together and you can see the final product. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, welcome back. Now, I want to show you the green beans. You need to let them simmer until, the majority of the liquid is gone. And what that does is concentrate the flavors into the green bean. They are so good. I'm telling you, they are so good. These are just, like your southern green beans. They're just delicious, yummy. And then here is our macaroni and cheese, our creamy mac and cheese that we made the homemade sauce for. And then we just made the white sauce, the bechamel sauce, which is equal parts flour and butter. And then you stir in half a cup of each of those. Brown that up until it's all, incorporated. The flour granules are all coated with the fat. In this case, I used butter. Add a little bit of salt and pepper if you want. Then slowly blend in a couple of cups of milk. You could use half and half. You could use cream, evaporated milk, whatever you wanted to use. I just used 2% milk. And then once that's all incorporated, whisk it constantly till you get all the lumps out. Then stir in 2 cups of whatever kind of cheese you like. I use sharp cheddar. Then stir in the cooked and drained macaroni. Place it in your casserole dish. Now, you don't have to top it with the breadcrumbs and bake it if you don't want to. It is absolutely delicious straight out of the pot with just the cheesy sauce and the macaroni. But you can put it in a baking dish, top it with a couple of slices of bread that you've pulsed in a food processor to make fresh breadcrumbs, and then pop it in an oven for 10 minutes or so just to crisp up the bread topping. This would be a wonderful dish to take to a potluck meal. Maybe you're having dinner after church, or you're taking dinner to someone's home. I mean, everybody likes mac and cheese. I don't think I know a single person that doesn't like macaroni and cheese. It's easy, quick, and this is so inexpensive. The boxed macaroni and cheese, the creamy one, it's gotten a little more pricey. You can make it at home a whole lot less expensive than you can even buy that boxed macaroni and cheese. And this is infinitely better. And then, of course, we can't forget our bacon-wrapped chicken. Now, what I did the final couple minutes is I turned on the broiler just to kind of get that bacon crisped up a little bit more. If your oven, is temperature where it just crisps it up, you might not need to do that. Mine, I did need to do that, but it's fine either way. And here is our delicious chicken tenders. Now, you could, if you wanted to make this an appetizer dish. I use chicken tenders, cut them into like 3 pieces each. They make perfect bite size. And then cut your bacon into thirds and wrap each piece around, or sprinkle your raw chicken with your spice mixture of brown sugar, chili powder, salt, pepper, oregano, and a little bit of cayenne pepper if you want that extra little bit of heat, and I do. Sprinkle it all over your chicken, and then wrap up each piece in the little bites in 1/3 of a slice of bacon and put it on your baking dish. You could put this on a baking rack to let all of that drippings fall down. Myself, I prefer not to do that. I do line my baking sheet because I want that chicken underneath to absorb all of that bacony fat and chicken broth that comes out and mixes together along with those spices. It just makes it even tastier. So here we've got some of our green beans. Let's get a little bit of our macaroni and cheese. Oh, I cannot wait to eat. And then some of our chicken tenders. I left mine whole because I'm serving it as a dinner, but this would make a great, great appetizer for a get-together. Maybe a family get-together or a football party or what, a birthday party, whatever you're doing. But there is a quick and easy meal that honestly you could have on the table from start to finish in under an hour. This, once you get this in the oven, it takes about 20, 25 minutes until the chicken is cooked through. The green beans can be cooking while everything else is going. The macaroni and cheese comes together in 10 minutes. Once you get that macaroni cooked, you can make your sauce while your macaroni's cooking. So even on your busiest day of the week, you could have this home-cooked meal on the stove in less than an hour. If you're serving children, maybe you want to kind of cut back a little bit on the chili powder and the cayenne pepper. Maybe, or if you don't like spicy food, you could leave out some of the chili powder and all of the cayenne, or even all of the chili powder. And you could just serve it with brown sugar, maybe a little bit of oregano or thyme or herbes de Provence. You use whatever spice mixture you like with the brown sugar. You could also use the low-carb brown sugar substitute, which I do use that quite often, and it does a beautiful job. There you go, from my kitchen to yours. Thank you for joining with me, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Manna.